Crypto God here, and today we got Brantly of the Ethereum naming service. Well, Ethereum name service. Sorry, I didn't mean to add the ing there, good sir. But Brantly, how you doing today?
Doing great, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Like you're a little taken back there for a second, I noticed. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you before we got here.
Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's go.
Let's go! Exactly. So, as it were, so tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what the ENS, or the Ethereum name service, is all about.
Yeah, okay. Well, ENS stands for the Ethereum name service, and it's a naming service that runs on Ethereum. And it is trying to be like the blockchain complement to DNS, traditional DNS. And our goal is for it to be the blockchain-based naming service for the whole world. And yeah, that's the goal.
Well, there you go. Now, you are the director of operations. Now, what does that mean for the people at home? Like, are you the director of surgeons? Yeah. Or like you a doctor director?
Right, exactly. So this is a little confusing. So ENS is an open source project, and like you can't really work for ENS, just like you can't work for Ethereum or something like this, right? Okay, so really, we have a nonprofit corporation called True Names Limited, which is what I would say is like the de facto manager of ENS. So like anybody, I guess, could contribute, even people outside of our organization contribute to ENS, but we're just sort of like the de facto team that's like doing most of the work. And that's True Names Limited, and I'm director of operations there. And what that means is that I help with like strategy, directing people, administrative stuff, communications, just like figuring out what we need to do and just helping to run things. Mm-hmm. And then we have a great team of world-class developers who are just doing amazing work.
Gotcha. So you kind of run the show to an extent, kind of like almost like a COO, but in a director sense.
Sure,
I'd say function.
Yeah, it's like a COO. So the lead developer, Nick Johnson, is the creator of ENS, and he's in charge, right? He's in charge of the project, but he's also our lead developer, and he's developing things. And so yeah, I'd say I'm like his first mate. You know what I mean? Like his COO. Sure.
Right, like you. He says, "This is what I want to do," and then it's your job to kind of execute the vision and make it happen.
Yeah. Or even figuring out what we should do. I'd say that's a big task. So like that might sound weird, but we're building new technology that's never been made before, and we're doing things that have never really been done before. And part of our work is figuring out what we should do. It's not always clear, and also our own understanding of what ENS is and what we're even trying to has evolved over time. Maybe we built ENS for one set of use cases, and now, a couple of years into this thing, we're still doing that, but we've actually discovered, maybe that's not even our main use case. And we have other use cases that we developed even on accident or something, So there's a lot of work just figuring out what we should do.
So I have a question, because sometimes I'm a bag of rocks, if you get what I'm saying. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Yes. So for the viewers at home, sometimes when you're a bag of rocks, you're as dumb as a bag of rocks. Means you're not the most intelligent person in the room. Now, what is like this whole thing? It's naming protocols, naming service, right? What outside of, we know what a name is, right? Like, I'm Crypto God or Crowley, you're Brantly. I'm sure there's more to it than just slapping a name onto something, right? Like, what's the function? What does it carry out and do?
Yeah, so ENS is a key thing that makes using crypto much more user-friendly. So crypto, if you're just using it straight, it's not very user-friendly. It's very raw. You're seeing lots of strings of numbers and letters and things like this. Your 0x address and cryptocurrency addresses. It's not very user friendly because what you're seeing there, that's like meant for software and things like this. What ENS does is it puts this like human friendly facade on everything that makes it much more user-friendly. So let me make this concrete. There's 3 primary use cases with ENS. First is you get an ENS name, and it's your portable Web3 username. So this is actually really revolutionary. It is like a whole different paradigm for how we use the internet. But the basic idea is when you log into, let's say, an Ethereum dApp or something like this, okay, right? You log in with your Ethereum account. By the way, note that you can log into any dApp with the one Ethereum account. That's already revolutionary. You don't have a different password, username, and password for each thing. No, you have one Ethereum account. You just connect your wallet, whether it's Uniswap or Snapshot or Aave or Compound or ENS or whatever. Okay. What ENS does is that it can then be your portable username between services. So it's used this fancy thing called reverse resolution, was kind of confusing, but it's just your Web3 username, where if I connect my wallet to Uniswap, if I sign into Snapshot or Showtime or whatever, right, my ENS name shows up as my username at all those services. So that's like a different paradigm shift. So rather than I have to get a different username at each place, it's like I have one username that I own, and the services use my username that I own. Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of like, to break it down for a little bit more, I think, consumer understanding, I guess. And also, I'll phrase it this way to make sure I have the understanding, is it Milligan?
Yes.
Oh, man, that's really close to Mulligan, bro.
It is close to Mulligan.
But anyways, Mr. Milligan, what I'm kind of registering as in my brain, it'd be kind of like when, you could log into a whole bunch of stuff with your Google account, right? Like you have your YouTube connected to your Google account. You got your, you could link eventually your Instagram and your Facebook and all just that same type of string of data that connects it all together.
Yes, but better. Because in this case, your Ethereum account, you just generate yourself with your wallet, and then your ENS name you own. So you're right. What you just described, the sort of technical term is called social sign-on. We're basically I can sign into a bunch of services with my Google account. You've probably seen this, like on Wayfair.com or eBay, or I can sign in with Google. That's sort of similar, except that Google controls everything.
Yeah,
right?
Google owns it.
Google owns you. In this case, with what I would call a sign-in with Ethereum, okay, you control your Ethereum account and your ENS name directly. And then other services can just use that when you sign in. So there's no other trusted third party involved. That's really revolutionary.
And it says you are integrated into over 200 platforms. I see on your little blog here on Medium.
Yes, it's over 250 now.
Wow.
So that's wallets, dApps, browsers. So let me keep going with the other use cases. So the first one, right, is this portable Web3 username, super revolutionary. The second one is the one that probably a lot of people have heard of, which is for crypto payments. So if you've ever seen a cryptocurrency address, it's like a long string of numbers and letters, okay? It's for Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, whatever. It's very unuser friendly. With an ENS name, you can store all those addresses in your records, and then you can receive payments of any of those cryptocurrencies to your ENS name. So for example, I have the ENS name Brantly.Eth, and I have tons of cryptocurrency addresses in there. So you could, to that one name, you could send me Dogecoin, you could send me Ripple, Bitcoin, Ether, any of those things. So that's much easier. I tell my friend, hey, send the Dogecoin to Brantly.Eth, rather than having to say, here's my Dogecoin address.
Right.
That's also
you don't have to copy
useful.
And paste the 20-character fucking address.
Exactly.
That and you might the fuck up in the process of copy pasting. Yeah.
Exactly. The third major use case is decentralized websites. So the basic idea here is that you store your website, you host it on a distributed file sharing network. Like there's the big one that's mostly used nowadays. It's called IPFS. There's other ones like Skynet and Swarm, etc. But host it on a distributed file sharing network, and then you can point at it from your ENS name. And that makes it much more censorship resistant than, let's say, a traditional website. And that's also revolutionary. And that has support even in some major browsers like Brave, Opera support it. If you have the MetaMask plugin in any browser, you have ENS decentralized website support. And then we also have a convenience service where if you have, let's say, Brantly.Eth is your website, if you just add .link to the end, it'll work in any browser like a normal website. So like, let's say Brantly.Eth.link. It's just like a gateway service. So those are the three major use cases.
Well, that's kind of cool, man. That's kind of cool. Because that, the fact that you can now, instead of having to worry about the massive fucking addresses, and we all got like different files with our different addresses in it, at least you might not have that anymore, now that you got all this set up, right?
Yeah, no, it's super convenient.
It really streamlines the whole process, Brantley.
Yes. And my expectation is that ENS, I think, will become bigger than DNS long term. And the reason for that is that DNS, traditional DNS, right, like normal website stuff, it's mainstream in the sense that everybody in the world uses it, okay? Mm-hmm. But it's not mainstream in the sense that it's not like everybody has a DNS domain name, right? Most people don't. There's like a couple 100 million domain names out there, and a small number of people than that own them. So there's a lot of people with domain names, but most people don't. Whereas with ENS, the vision is that everybody would have one because everybody's going to need a Web3 username and a name for receiving cryptocurrency. So I think ENS actually has the potential of being many times bigger.
Now, as we know with the domain name and all that, right? You're able to essentially like set up a website, things of that nature, right? So what about like web hosting and stuff like that? Does ENS branch into that kind of territory?
Good question. So that's what I was talking about with the distributed file sharing network. So like the most popular one right now is called IPFS, and that is short for kind of a funny name. It's Interplanetary File System, IPFS. Mm-hmm. And it's just a protocol for storing and sharing files between nodes in a peer-to-peer way on the internet. And this could potentially replace or augment just traditional web servers. So the normal way a website works is you just literally have like a computer somewhere that has the website files, and when somebody accesses your website, they're just accessing the files on that computer. Right. And that's fine, and that works fine. But it's kind of like a single point of failure. It can be easily shut down or something. Whereas IPFS is a network where people can share files, and there can be multiple copies around the file, so it's more censorship resistant. And so ENS just does the naming part.
Right. Now there is like that conversation in play about how sometimes the blockchain isn't the best at storing massive amounts of data, right? Correct. Like there's this article out there about IPFS, very specifically talk about, they actually said that it's terrible at storing large amounts of data, right? And I'm not a developer, I'm not a programmer, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's truly a limitation that can't be overcome, right? So
yeah. I would say, so first of all, IPFS is not a blockchain. Blockchains are terrible for storing data. And blockchains, you want to be as sparse with your data that you're storing there as possible, because it'd be very expensive, very inefficient. IPFS, in terms of its limitations, I don't know enough about IPFS to have a comment on that. But I would say, that's certainly a space with multiple contenders, and that's developing a lot.
Right. And I'm kind of reading through it right now, and like there's some really cool stuff out here, people. You're going to want to check out IPFS and just look at it and draw your own conclusions on it, like they're powerful tools. I mean, everything that's a powerful tool, of course, can have its weaknesses and its drawbacks, right? And what's beneficial about the IPFS, though, is it's kind of hard to tamper with it. They call it tamper-proof, so to speak. Yes. When you're dealing with combining Ethereum with IPFS, you gain like that ability to timestamp the data and figure out, if something goes wrong along the way, it's going to be very easy to pinpoint where the breakdown was. That's one of the biggest benefits of utilizing the blockchain, I think, is like that whole chain of custody and figure out where the weak link is and being able to fix it very fast.
Yeah, sure. Now, do you have an ENS name?
No, I don't, but I'm thinking about it now.
You need to get one, man.
No more
can we talk about
20 digits. Yeah, how would I go about getting an ENS name?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 types of ENS names you can have. So can I talk about ENS namespace, like what types of names are on ENS?
Of course you can. I'm not going to fucking restricct you. I mean, we talk about
why are you restricting me?
I'm not.
Why are you restricting me?
I'm not. You're restricting all limits are self-imposed. I've lived by that my entire life. Like this is a thing. I'm going to go off on a tangent there for a second, Brantly, and it's your fault. All limits are self-imposed. Just because someone says you can't do something, there is no actual authority in anything outside of the self. We just agree or disagree with those limitations imposed. People try to, propose to us, and then we impose those limitations. So I'm not limiting you, Brantly.
Okay, well, good. It's good to hear we got an ANCAP here. So namespace. People probably may have seen, like if you're on Twitter or anything like this, you might have seen like .eth names, like Brantly.Eth or something, right? Mm-hmm. So .eth, it's like a name suffix. The technical term is top level domain, or TLD for short, but it's just like a name suffix. .eth, it's like .com or .org or .net, right? These endings, right? .eth exists only on ENS. It's ENS native, okay? And it has all the benefits of being blockchain native, which means it has the best possible security and all the functionality that you get from being native to a blockchain. But we are also, we want to expand the possible namespace available on ENS, right? We don't want it just restricted to .eth names. So the way we're doing that is that we are integrating the existing DNS, traditional DNS namespace. What I mean by that is that if you own a name on DNS, let's say like Brantly.xyz, okay? Right. You can then import that into ENS and use it on ENS. It's not with .eth, it's with .xyz, with the same ending. So then what you can have is a name that exists on both DNS and ENS. You get the benefits of both worlds. That's something that we are doing.
Okay. I'm following 60% of it. I dig it. No, because it's a big concept. It's a big concept, especially like if you weren't like moving in this direction to think about it before you step towards it.
Yeah. So like I have the name Brantly.xyz. This is not just a made up example. It's a real thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. I'm staring at your face.
Exactly. It's my personal website. It has some low quality, WordPress thing I threw up, and that uses traditional DNS. But if you opened up Coinbase wallet or Trust wallet or something like this, right? And you can send me Dogecoin to Brantly.xyz.
Really?
And for that part, it's using ENS in the background. So I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to blow up this idea. Some people have this idea in their mind that, ENS, it's .eth names for Ethereum address. It is that, but it's bigger than that. Like I said, you can use ENS to send Dogecoin to Brantly.xyz using ENS.
So pretty much like if you link your ENS with your DNS, you can just send it directly to the domain name as they're linked, and it will go into your wallet.
Yeah, so you can control the same name on both systems and get the benefits of both systems. So this works right now with only a couple DNS names, so like .xyz, .art, .cred, .lux. But we're actually working on rolling this out to basically the entire DNS namespace. So this will work with .com, .org, .net, .io, whatever.
So like say for instance, once .com is integrated, right? Or let's say big thinking .gov or even .health. Say if I wanted to send something to like pay taxes, I could go to like irs.gov and say if they could actually you guys could figure it out and you link the ENS, I could send crypto to pay my taxes. That's a complicated concept, but just send it to the irs.gov and they would receive it. Versus also if you have like a store, right? And you wanted to, you're like, hey, I'm going to send you this money over for an online order, and you send it to, Karen.xyz, and it's linked with ENS, and then she'll be able to confirm the payment, then ship you the goods.
Yes. Yeah. Many, many possibilities here. So
I got a handle on it, right? Like, because it's linked, and you can, once the DNS is linked, you can actually send it, and then it's verifiable through the blockchain of seeing who it came from. And if you have your ENS set up, they will be able to see that, Brantly.xyz had sent Karen.xyz a certain amount and be able to confirm that, the transaction.
Yeah. So here's the vision. Imagine it's what ENS is doing is pulling together several things on the internet that used to be separate, but now bringing them all into one. So imagine an ENS name, it's your name on the internet that you own across platforms. Okay, so no longer these sandbox usernames where a new platform opened up and someone else got your username crap and you have to use a different username for this thing that's so it's your internet identity. Number one is also where you can receive like payments with the same identity, and you can have a page on the internet for yourself, your own website with that same identity. It's all linked together. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean that's massive. I mean, to streamline. I mean, if you think about names in general, like not just online names on the internet, like technically, if you live in any country, like your name is owned by the government, technically. That's why they're able to tax you. That's why they're able to incarcerate you. That's why they're able to do all these things. There's some people that go through a process to actually claim the ownership of their name, and they have like special paperwork in the government system that's like, do not detain, do not arrest, so on and so forth, because then they're no longer in that jurisdiction. That's why, like, if you go to another country, there's certain like kind of diplomatic immunity. That's because they don't have any ownership over that person, so they can't do anything.
Sure. Right. Hey, when did you red pill on ANCAP?
Huh?
You know what I mean by that? ANCAP?
NCAP.
ANCAP. Narco-capitalism.
Oh, when did I red pill? Oh man.
Yeah.
That's
what you sound like to me.
I have a really good friend, okay, who he just recently went through this whole process, and he doesn't even have to register his car anymore. He doesn't have to own insurance. He doesn't pay taxes. He went through this whole process himself, and like he's purposefully asked police officers to register his stuff. And like he got ticketed based upon his old paperwork, and he went to the judge and it was like, you can't do this. And the judge is like, you're right. So yeah, no, it's really interesting. I'm connected to some very interesting people, Brantly, and I'm kind of just giving it a year or two before I go down that rabbit hole myself, because that's a very interesting thing, because like, I don't want to get too much into law right here. You know what I mean? But like the state to an extent views us as kind of like dead or deceased people. So that's why they can do whatever they want, and they own like a certain amount of value based upon our name. That's why like all these different things are able to happen. And I'm not nearly as educated as my buddy is. I'm thinking about bringing him on sometime, but like it's not related to crypto. So I don't want to get too deep into it,
Right. That's getting a little too red pilled. I think crypto's already enough red pilled for this
Crypto
podcast,
is so red pill, and like my dude is a red pill. That's what he is. He's just full red pill. Like he didn't take it; he became a red pill.
Good.
Like straight up. So This is very cool, though, man. I didn't. You threw me off base. But the whole point of what I'm saying, though, is actually having real ownership and not having an account like connected to Google and things of that nature has multiple benefits, because then somebody else doesn't own your like intellectual property, and they don't own your accounts and things of that nature.
Right. Exactly. They don't own your identity on the internet. I think
when we're
having this unbundling. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
When you sign up for a bank, and you sign all their paperwork, you actually like when banks in possession of your money, that's their money. It's not your money, it's their money, you know?
Yeah, well, they're holding it, right?
Like possession is 9/10 of the law. So
right.
If they own 90% of that capital, and if the bank were to get robbed, yeah, if they offer insurance, that's great. But really, there's not much a person can do if the bank goes belly up while they're holding your money. Like, there's no real recourse for it.
Yeah, I mean, in the United States, there's FDIC insurance, but the point though is that I think the bigger point is that we're relying on these trust third parties, which look, it works most of the time, but it's a vulnerability because they really do have the power. And a great thing about blockchain technology, right, is it just removes that even possibility, right, where you control your stuff directly yourself. And you're not dependent on these trusted third parties, these middlemen for interactions.
Right.
And that is a very powerful reordering of the power structures in the world.
And it increases freedom. Like,
I'm pro freedom.
If you're pro freedom, you need to check out the interview that went out today on the channel that had Nathan Hawk on it. He like is a speaker at like different crypto conventions, and he does like a keynote speaking type gigs at DEF CON, if you know what DEF CON is.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's really deep red pill guy, you know? And like he is all about just like the freedom of a thing. And I'm very surprised he even has a Twitter, you know, because technically, I don't know if you like this was a surprise to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't even realize it. Anything you write on Facebook and make a post about, that's their property now. Like,
right, they control it. Correct.
Like when a person says, "I don't give Facebook permission utilize any of my stuff." No, you already agreed to the agreement. Like they own your image. They can use your image at will. They don't have to ask your permission. They can use your likeness because you agreed to it, because you're utilizing their name service. You're utilizing their DNS. You're using Facebook. Right. It is property of Facebook. Right. And there's a lot of people just giving away their rights all the time, and they don't have autonomy. There's no autonomy to it.
Yeah, and I oversell, ENS and blockchain technology in general, in the sense that I think blockchain technology improves a lot of these problems, but it doesn't like necessarily completely solve them. There is no perfect system. We're not like transcending the world here, but it definitely, I think, improves the problems and restricts the ways that you can, be attacked or something. Because no system has perfect security, because if you're able to use the system, then in the very least, you are a weak point. Yeah. Right. So let's say like with cryptocurrency, I control my cryptocurrency myself, right? Or let's say you control your cryptocurrency yourself. You're not depending on a trusted third party. In the old system, right? You're trusting a bank to hold your goods, but maybe the government goes to the bank and says, "Hey, freeze, crypto gods' money," and then they can do that, right? Without even having to go to you. In cryptocurrency, they can't do that. But you know what the government can still do to you? They can still come to your house and put a gun to your head and say, "Hey, give me your cryptocurrency," right? Right. So, it certainly, I think, provides more freedom and restricts.
Has that happened in America yet?
Not aware of it, but I'm sure there's been crime, in the world of people stealing crypto from people directly.
Right. I mean, I'm sure because, there's been people that have had their accounts hacked and stuff like that. That's why, I personally always suggest like never connect your wallets to like any primary email that you use. Just always have like, it's almost like a dead email that's not connected to anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because I'm slightly red. I'm red pill to the point where it's like I don't trust anyone. Like none of my wallets are connected to any of the emails that are connected to any of my platforms whatsoever, and everything has a different email. Everything has a different email. You know what I mean?
That keeps you safer. Yes. Do you use a password manager?
We have like this entire thing of everything's inside of a spreadsheet, and then that has a master key to get into it.
Okay, perfect. I mean, that's basically that is what a password manager is.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and then random generated passwords and stuff.
Yes, that's the right way to do it.
It's that pair. I was using 16 character passwords back when I was 14, man.
Good. Have you heard of Diceware passwords?
Diceware passwords? No, I have not. Ooh, buddy.
Yeah, this is what I generally use. I recommend it. I heard about it first after the Snowden leaks, revelations, years ago. It was recommended as a way of having a user-friendly but very strong password. The idea basically is that rather than having like random letters and numbers, which is fine, but if you ever have to like type it in somewhere, it's like hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the Diceware password is that you can pick like 7 random words and you have them, entered in with spaces in between. So it could be something like tropical hook asks, well, cat hearts or something like this. Okay.
I'm so saying like random words.
Right. But hopefully not a sentence. Usually you want it to be truly random, right?
Well, I mean, those were the first things that came to my mind.
Right. So, but I've seen calculations like if you pick 7 random words, right. You can even use methods for doing it randomly, not just what you choose.
Like mango, pogo stick, bacon, cat,
fixation, Frodo.
Leroy Jenkins.
Right. If you do that, like just 7 words deep is already like an uncrackable password. Like all the computing power of the world could work on it for for millions of years and wouldn't get it because there's so many words that just 7 random words is already so strong. And the nice thing, right, is it's also easy to like enter in if you ever have to enter in somewhere.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, that's a cool one to know, folks. So if you want more secure passwords, Diceware password.
Exactly. You can look it up.
I'm looking at it right now. That's kind of cool, man. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we use I think we use something similar to like LastPass or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I have like layers to it, just I don't remember. It's all like all the passwords are on a separate computer, then it gets sent through one thing to another that only I have access to, so nothing's on the same computer and it's a thing. It's a whole thing, Brantly. Like now I'm feeling kind of self-conscious about how paranoid I am. Thank you.
Oh, it's good. Better to be a little over paranoid than to be out of luck, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you gotta stay protected, man. And I really think that ENS can be a part of people protecting themselves as well as streamlining their experience on the internet.
Yeah, taking control of their identity on the internet. Yes.
I think it's, I still got to get the .crowley made and carried by it,
Yes.
CryptoGod.Crowley. That needs to be a thing.
Okay, let's see here. It's Crowley.Eth. Crowley.Eth is taken.
Oh, no.
CryptoGod.Eth is taken. What about Crowley? Crowley, the CryptoGod.Eth is available. You got to get that quick before somebody else does.
Well, the full name is Crowley Virgin Bane Asmodeus. Virgin Bane being a given name by a third party. Crowley.xyz is open, though, which is kind of nice.
There you go.
Dan. I don't know if I trust a service named Dan, though. I have known a few Dans. Dirty Dan. You might not have found it funny, but the SpongeBob reference tickled my funny bone.
Okay.
As it were, So, what's the next step for ENS, man? What are you doing next?
So I mentioned the full DNS namespace integration that's coming up soon. We're putting the final touches on that. We have a bunch of scaling things for ENS. Basically, ENS right now runs on Ethereum entirely, but Ethereum has so much use going on that it's become very expensive to do things on Ethereum. So we're creating systems that can start to offload parts of ENS off of Ethereum, but still maintain good security. That's going to happen in stages, and we'll hopefully have the first stage of that later this year. And then we have a lot of under the hood optimizations and improvements that might not mean too much to your audience, but could have some significant improvements to ENS. Like we want to automate setting the reverse record and automate setting more records than just the Ethereum address record when you register. And we're also redesigning our manager app. So our current manager app, if you go to ens.domains and you click launch app, it takes you to our manager app that's at app.ens.domains. We're completely redesigning that from the ground up, and I'm really excited to get that out hopefully by the end of the year. We're also looking to improve the governance of the ENS protocol. So basically there are aspects of the ENS protocol that still require human discretion that we can't just automate with smart contracts. And right now those are mostly handled by a 4 of 7 multi-sig, but basically means there's 7 people in the world who, if 4 of them can agree to do something, they can do it. That's okay as a temporary thing, but we really want to decentralize it further. So we're hoping maybe by the end of this year, early next year, we could improve our governance model. So yeah, there's tons going on with ENS. It's an exciting project to be a part of.
Gotcha. This is kind of cool, man. This is I'm learning things. Now, I think that this interview is a lot more powerful than people are going to realize, right? Because most often revolutionary things that change the space kind of fly underneath the radar.
Right.
Like DNS is a massive thing, but no one's really gone on in depth and talked about DNS and how it's revolution. No one went out and did an interview about how it's revolutionizing the space back in the day, I don't think, and
yeah,
it's kind of a shame that sensationalism more often than not supersedes the change.
In some ways, if something is so useful, so obvious that it becomes ubiquitous and therefore invisible, right? That is like the ultimate success. And you don't even know that you're using it. You don't think about you're using it because of course you're using it. It's just everywhere. That means it's had total success.
Yeah, it's that omnipresence that just, like, we don't think about oxygen more often than not, unless someone brings it up. People don't think about it unless you bring it up. And the thing is, I really feel like this could be, like an essential just part of the thing going down the road. It could really make stuff happen. And Ethereum is a big thing. So anything tied into Ethereum, I'm excited to talk about. So I really appreciate you coming out, Brantly. This was educational and thought-provoking. And now I'm just like looking at domain.
Well, Crowley, thanks very much. Yes. Yeah, you got to snatch up whatever you want before someone else gets it.
Yeah. I might just put your mom.eth. I don't know. It's not tasteful at all, but
right.
It's funny. It's funny, right?
Oh, it looks like your mom.eth is taken, but it's expiring. It's going to be released for someone else to register in less than a month.
Oh,
whoever has it.
I might just get that because that'd be hilarious. Oh, just send your stuff to me at yourmom.eth. They're like, what? Can you imagine just like the reactions?
Exactly.
I mean, if
well, that could be your identity.
If it makes, who are you? Well, I'm your mom, bro. Who are you? Your mom. Oh my gosh. That's the most troll thing I've ever thought of in my life, Brantly. And I appreciate you. You're a genius. Anything.
There you go.
Here's the thing. My whole core at the nature of who I am is I want to make myself laugh, right? And I know if I can make myself laugh, I can make others laugh. And it's that simple. Right. I think a lot of people take themselves a little too seriously. I mean, I take my freedom serious. I take my security serious. But I'm not afraid to make people laugh, whether it's with me or at me,
Good.
And that's the fun of it, man.
This is only sort of related to what you're saying, but have you heard of the author G.K. Chesterton?
No, I haven't.
G.K. Chesterton. He was a great English author in the early 20th century. He was kind of the generation before J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and those people. But G.K. Chesterton, very influential in certain circles. He had this quote that he said, angels can fly because they take themselves so lightly. And his point being that don't take yourself seriously, and that's actually like a secret to success and holiness in life, right?
Right.
Don't be too focused on yourself or take yourself too seriously. Yeah.
I think you rob yourself of happiness when you get in that direction of like taking yourself way too serious, because there's always going to be people out there that don't appreciate your hard work or your accomplishments. Then you have that scene in the movie of, do you know who I am? Do you know how many Bitcoin I got? I'm like, okay.
Exactly. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares, man. We're all just on a journey together.
Exactly.
And I think as long as we continue to push the journey, it'll be okay. And I really do appreciate you coming out and your insights and whatnot. And it's, man, GK Chesterton has some teeth on him, don't he?
You're looking him up.
Yeah, he got some teeth, but a good mustache. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was a good author. He's very quotable.
That's great. I'll have to. Man, this was a nice, pleasant, informative talk. Thank you.
Good.
I appreciate it.
Great. Well, let's keep in touch. Have me back on anytime.
Yeah. So, folks, you know what time it is. You got to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with all of your friends. You got to ring the bell so you get information on all these new applications and aspects and projects in the crypto space. I mean, something new every single day. I'm learning stuff every day, which means I know you're learning stuff every day. So with that being said, when you go and get your .eth, you need to keep up that registry so you can hold all that